tell you for me, and this is like, you know how many times I've watched these. But from me, I had this aha again about back to basics. It keeps hitting me, not just here, but in every portion of my life right now. What I'm hearing, what I'm seeing and feeling, and what's like really resonating is simplify it out, back to basics. It's the stuff that works. You don't have to keep improving. You have to just keep improving your abilities and your performance and your participation with a whole lot of these things, because I think we have been so distracted by so many things pulling us in different directions that we forget about this basics. And I want to tell you a little bit of a story, but this is not to scare you. It's just to let you know what's coming, because I'm a very global kind of perspective person. And so I listen to, watch, read a lot of things from other marketplaces, particularly in real estate. And now I'm actually doing it a little more internationally, just because I have a reason to, with having family internationally. But in the US and in amongst agents that I'm listening to who are not bitcher, moaner, complainer kind of people, which I find on one of the Facebook pages has like this whole group. But this particular conversation really hit me. Is these agents were talking about the new contracts that they are having to have buyers sign, because our commissions are at stake. The DOJ is going after them. There's a whole lot of lawsuits and things that are out there, but it's already hitting in some other markets. So they're having to have buyers sign contracts that guarantee them a certain percent of whatever the sales price is, because the sellers on the other side are not doing that, and they're fighting their portion of the commission to the buyer's agent. So the reason why I'm even saying this is because if we have businesses that are run on relationships, it makes a total difference in the competition that happens when it's one unknown agent and another unknown agent, and all they have to offer is what percentage they charge. So the deeper we get into really, really bringing home the referral-based, relationship-based business, the more secure your business can be. And honestly, pay attention to the things that are going on outside of our marketplace too, because we are being challenged as realtors. I tried to find this conversation that I was looking at, and agents like actually talking about that they have these contracts that they do with. It's not like an exclusive buyer agency kind of contract. It's a buyer agency contract that guarantees that if the contract itself, the seller's agent does not pay up to, let's say, what's ours, 2.4, whatever, that the buyer has to make up the difference.
There's an agent here in our market now that moved here from another market. And when he came here, he had an addendum. And this has been probably 10 years or so. And he had an addendum that specifically said kind of what you're spelling out. His was 3%, because around the country, 3%
50-50.
is 50 you have 6%. And he would say that he's a 3% agent, and that he needs 3%, and if he doesn't get paid by the seller, he gets paid by the buyer. And he had that addendum.
Wow, 10 years ago.
Like 10 years ago. He was coming from Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
But still, it was an interesting.
Well, I'll get more information, like I said, not to scare you, just to let you have an awareness that there are some pretty big challenges going on, and NAR is fighting it like crazy. And so is, the attorneys and all the states, but there's consumer-based protection agencies that think that there is a disparity. So back to basics. I think has so much relevance, and particularly this, like, oh, that's right, it's that stacking effect. Even if you get like one thing that happens to be working, sometimes you have to go back and go, hey, wait a minute, which piece do I not have in here that I can stick back in here again? So give me some feedback from today, and then answer one of these, one of the questions that he asked. Do you believe in yourself? And, do you believe in your abilities? That's, like, what are those? Those are things that you have to answer to yourself. I don't care whether you answer them here on this call, but that's the beginning of the whole thing, is believing in the fact that you can do it. I think the formula was a great formula, and one of you maybe can quote it about more leads. But let's get some feedback. Allison?
So I think Katie might be the only person who's kind of newer in the business. Is that right? But talk about
the newest. She's probably the newest.
Probably the newest. Nicole's about a
But
year.
Nicole's up there too. They're both still doing
Yeah.
pretty good. But yeah.
Yeah.
So stacking effect and qualifying and sorting leads. So every single thing you do with Buffini, that's the first thing they're going to have you do, including coaching. And I was getting so effing irritated with being instructed over and over and over again to sort and qualify my database. And then felt like overnight, my database got so big that I could not, like he was talking about, give proper attention to that many people. And that's when the sorting and qualifying became super relevant. I used to be able to do a pop by for damn near every single person in my database, at least quarterly. And I did not understand what the big deal was. And so I guess now I just have to remind myself to sort and qualify on a continuous basis. And if you're keeping up, especially in Referral Maker, if you're tracking everything in there, every time you get a lead, a qualified prospect, and you put them in there, you can say who the referral is from, and then it's easiest just to do it as you go and go to that person and change them. If they were a B, now they're an A, they give you a referral, etc. So
the perfect time of year to do that.
Yeah, like not a big deal, but it is. And I know for me, it clicked much later. And now I get it. And you asked about the questions that they asked. I guess my what I believe about myself, what I know about myself, is that I have the ability to figure things out. And if I take a first step and a next step, I'm going to get to where I go. Like, I think that where I need to go. It's easy to procrastinate when you're looking at the entire project or the thing that you feel like you can't do, but you can do one step at a time. And I know I will get there. I've done harder shit than this.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What distracts you the most, Allison?
In business, it has been the temptation to screw around in my transactions more than to lead generate. And I solved that problem by getting a transaction coordinator and eliminating my favorite way to procrastinate. Do I still look at my calendar and I've got like a freaking trunk full of pumpkins right now? I've given away like half of them. And I'm like, when am I going to give these pumpkins? Like, who has time to lead generate?
And they're rolling around.
Yes. I've always got stuff going on, but
you can also, that's also something that when you get to a certain place and you know what your dollar value is per hour, you can have somebody else drop them off, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be home anyway. So
yeah, that's kind of the next phase. And then there was something else that kind of struck me. Oh, that woman at the end talking about basically having boundaries and priorities in her business. That's another like next phase step for me. I was walk my daughter to school and was walking home with another mom today, and she was like, what are you going to do today? And I'm like, I'm going to take like a quasi day off. So I have a class from 10 to 12, and then I'm going to do this and that and the other thing. But other than that, and she's like, she looked at me like I was an idiot. Like, that's not a day. And then, so
Did you see my post? It's National Stay at Home with Your Dog Day and Drink Wine.
I
And
don't,
unofficial day.
I don't have or like either one of those things. I'll drink tea with my cat, I guess.
Yeah, drink tea with your cat. Well, we can. Yeah, I mean, it was made up, so I didn't make it up. It was made
Right.
up.
I'm a
You
sober
can
cat
make up
owner, so
whatever.
I'll
Yeah,
just do that.
exactly. Yes. Great feedback. Thank you. Amy,
I knew you were going to call me next.
well, you're on my
Yeah.
I
No,
go
no,
by
that's good.
my picture here. So
That's good. I think much like you were both saying is, for me, the thing that really stuck out is how much, when you're reminded of these, you realize how you slowly over time have eroded some of those. There's been just a gentle erosion of requalifying.
Wow.
And so this is, for me, just a great reminder that what once was an A+, I need to go back and really just fine tune that a bit. So it's just a good reminder that sometimes when, you know, you're prompted to take a class like this, and then you're kind of like, oh, I need new ideas. It's not really that you need new ideas, but this just reinforces that, like you said, getting back to basics is usually always the best way to kind of reinvigorate everything. So yeah, just a great reminder for me to kind of do some of the things that have eroded over time because of being busy or getting distracted or just life, you know. So that was a big
reminder of the gentle erosion of your activities. Seriously, like that's a great statement. Really great statement. Yeah, and it's so true.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think, let's see, you asked us to kind of talk about one of the questions.
Mhm.
One of the things that I always believe about my future is when I get really like, if things are not going well, and sometimes it's like at work or personally, but especially in this case, in work, in your relationships, I always think of, like, I know a lot of agents, we all get to that, like, oh my gosh, I'm never getting another referral again. For some reason, my mantra has always been, and I probably got it from, I know I did, it's not just, I didn't make it up, but I've done it before, I can do it again. And I just always like have that as a mantra, like, instead of thinking, oh, I'm never going to get another referral, or I'm not going to, you know, make this amount or get this or whatever. When you get a little nervous about that, I nip it in the bud before that. And I just say, I've done it before, I can do it again. And it really, for some reason, for me, that just like helps me.
The great
like,
mantra.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It works for you. That's beautiful. Yeah.
That's right. It doesn't have to work for anybody else, but it helps me. So.
Yeah. What's your biggest distraction to doing those things?
I think with the calls, especially like that's where I felt like a little tension in my stomach. I will do other things so I don't have to do that. Like, I'll make myself busy doing other things, because that's not my most comfortable thing, is calling and being like, oh, you know, am I the person? It just, like, that made me sort of feel a little sick to my stomach when she said you needed to do 5 of those a day, just because it's not my favorite. I love to call people, I love to talk to people, but asking, am I the person? And it's the best thing I should be doing, because it will help me get back that erosion of requalify. So it's all right, but so I distract myself, like, oh, I got to do this and this and this, and oh, my to-do list will come before that, but it just has to go in there. So
you were doing a lot of videos for a long time, and you are really good on video.
because I hate it.
Yeah, well, that's you must be more comfortable than making phone calls, because your videos, you know, can be the same thing with.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
absolutely.
give you guys some homework to do that's going to help with that a little bit, but yeah, find your comfort level. I don't care if you write notes, make all that stuff at the end of this, action tips. Honestly, if it helps you, use it. If something else helps you equally, do that. I'm way past like, why didn't you do your homework stuff? So yeah. So whatever's going to work for you, but thank you. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Annika.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry.
okay.
I'm so glad that I'm retaking this because I realized, oh yeah, a database. I used to have one of those. And actually I used to have like 4 of those, which is worse than having one. And then so I started looking at it and I've got a database on Zap. I've got my phone contacts list. I have a lot of contacts in Paragon, and I used to put them all in Referral Maker, and I thought, well, I should go in there again. And then apparently I've let my Buffini account lapse or something. I can't open my Referral Maker, so I guess I'll have to call them and re-up. I'm hoping that they didn't throw away my old contacts.
They don't. They don't.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
they hold on to it for a certain period of time.
They always
Okay.
assume you're coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
They know,
Okay, then I've
that
got
we'll
to,
have these conversations like, crap,
yeah.
down there. Where is it? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I'll call them this afternoon and redo that. Now I mean, I understand how important databases are because in my former life, when I was in marketing, I was a database marketer. I mean, I did direct mail. And I am used to having databases that are augmented with all sorts of information about those people. I mean, obviously pay for that, but then you find out that, oh, okay, for this particular client, what seems to be a unusual thread is that so many of them live in so many of them have bought a car within the last 2 years. And it's, now I know that we don't have the money to put that on against all of our clients. That'd be really nice where we know. I mean, unfortunately, there's places out there you can buy medical data on people and have that appended to your database. I don't want to get into that, but
It's a little bit.
oh, but
ambulance
I'm
chasing.
used to breaking it down into deciles, and that you always mark it to your top decile. So I come from that, as that was my full-time job for decades. So I know it, but yeah, I totally stopped the feeding and care of my database, and I've got to get back to that right away. It's going to be a lot of work. I would like to know from everybody here, is Referral Maker the best? Is the whatever is going to replace SAP here, hopefully very soon, is that going to be the best place to have a database? Because having it in 5 different places obviously is not.
I'll speak to that. First of all, obviously we don't get paid by Buffini, but that is the best. Absolutely,
Okay.
hands down, it's the best. It's the best. It's the most consistent. It was created by realtors for realtors, not any other industry. It is absolutely the best. That said, Moxie, which is coming down the pike, actually, we were told it was supposed to start today, by the way, but I don't think that happened. Supposed to be brilliant and wonderful, but here the thing is, we hear that crap all the time. So I really can't talk about it until we have it in our house and we've used it, and I can really speak from authority. At this
Dan?
moment, I would use Referral Maker.
Is Moxie BHGRE?
Yes, it actually, to
I'm not gonna-
clarify, and I just learned this when I was in Phoenix last month, it is a completely different company. It is a very, very large back end user system that it helps us with our website, our websites. It's basically the whole back end, if you will. So you'll be able to, you have a CRM, you'll be able to set your clients up for auto searches in the MLS in your CRM, which is kind of nice. It does incorporate BombBomb. It's supposed to be incredible. It really is. And I will do everything I can to learn it. But until then, I say Buffini's, because it's not going anywhere, and it truly is excellent.
And what I will say to you is, instead of waiting for something else, do what's in front of you and what you have some kind of familiarity with, because all that is another distraction, well, I'll do it when. It's just it's putting your business off. if you want to do both of those things and learn the other one when it comes out, and anything brand new is always going to have some kind of a learning period anyway. Go ahead.
What
Tim.
I heard, and I hadn't heard this before, but apparently this is just the universal term that people use, even in the industry, is they say, what's the best CRM? And they say, whichever one you're using. Because it's really less about which CRM, it's more about just freaking using one and
Yeah.
just sticking to it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And Amy, did we not use Moxie with relocation at MP Dodge? It's familiar
I
name.
feel like we've been introduced to it, either that or through, what was that, Leading RE or whatever?
Oh, leading something, but it was out of.
There was some
it was out of
affiliation.
Colorado.
We didn't use it at MP Dodge, but I think that we have been exposed to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think it was out of Colorado is where
Yeah.
they were based. But anyway, regardless. So use what you're going to have the least amount of adaptation time to, and something that you will actually use, because that is, it's like having a business and not even having a cash register to see what's coming in, what's going out, how much you have at the beginning of the day. If you do the part that is the input part, and if you don't want to do that and you want to hire somebody else to do it, by all means do that, but get that information in there. The better that information, the more successful you will be. The more you know about your clients, who they are, where they are, what they want to buy or sell, or who they know, the better your business will operate on its own. That's to me, that's more of the goal, is to just have that referral business just keep on coming. So, Laura, today's class, one thing you got out of it or something that hit?
Probably the biggest thing is I really need to listen to the podcast of Self-Belief and get back into podcasts. I kind of gotten away from them. And I think with the when I'm not like thrown out there showing 50 million houses or whatever, I feel like I'm not doing enough. And then I distract myself with other things that need to be done. So I think just getting back into the positive thinking type, self-believing podcasts will help. And I think Amy said her stomach kind of turned when you hear these, make 5 phone calls a day. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about all that. But I think I think I'll combine the videos with the phone calls, the video texts or whatever. And still
Interesting, because you do videos that are like 20 minutes long on showing a house.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but I'm not in those.
The little, isn't that interesting? How we don't want that spotlight on us just being us, but we can
Yeah.
we can
'Cause you're
promote
not-
something else in a more comfortable. I mean, that's really something to think about. We can
Yeah.
promote something else.
So
So
I even avoid the mirrors. So I
Yeah.
mean, I have no problem if I'm not in it. Just my voice is fine, but
yeah, but it's interesting how we do, we self judge ourselves, which all goes along with, has anybody started listening to Amy raises her hand.
high five.
Yeah, the high five. Yeah. I think that would be a cool picture to take, is having all of us on here with high five on it. So yeah. So Amy, you have the high five rule. Anybody else gotten it, downloaded it, listened? Okay. Katie, Tim, what do you guys think? Like, just at a beginning. Yeah. Worthwhile.
Super interesting. I did food prep for the kids and for the week yesterday, and I just put it on. I think I'm already like chapter 8 or 9 or something, but
Wow.
it's so simple. And I think but I love that she goes into kind of like the science behind it. And yeah, it's great. I love it. Yeah,
Good.
it's a really good accompaniment to this. Great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, I think right now we just all need to get back to being our own biggest cheerleaders. And that's a freaking hard thing to do because it doesn't feel like anything else is cheering us on. So yeah, so anybody else who feels so moved, Mel Robbins, high five rule. Okay. All right, Jill, today you look like you're really paying attention.
I am. I'm just
Yeah.
listening, and distracted at the same time. So, you know me. Anyway,
Join the club.
so distractions, you talked about distraction and you know me, a lot of you guys know me kind of well from the past 5 or 6 years, but I'm easily distracted by things. Sometimes I do better when I'm like listening to this stuff to also like knit or something because it keeps me in place. I move around a lot while I'm listening and it helps. I'm distracted by everything. My family, my dog, my business, I'll rehab furniture. I will knit. I'll do everything but do 5 phone calls a day. And it's like a punishment for me.
Like going to confession.
It's worse than going to confession.
It was
We
all,
used
we
to
were
go to
teed up
confession
with
and
that
just
with
make
5
crap
Our
up.
Fathers and 5 Hail Marys. Now it's.
I would
now
totally
you
go to
have to do,
confession and
yeah,
lie
5
every
phone
single
calls and
time.
5
I'm like, I have the
personal
most
notes.
boring sin, so I would just make stuff up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
who is it? I'm looking, Anika, you were talking about having all these databases and stuff like that. So I don't know if this will help. Small steps, first of all, small steps. Pick one. Buffini has an excellent database. I have been using it since I started my first class, Buffini class for over 4 years ago. And it is the most intuitive thing I've ever used for me. I never was able to use even start a database because it just didn't have the stuff that I personally needed. I like it. So I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to Moxie, Tim, but I'm also kind of excited to see what if it's something that really works well, then I will use it. But I have probably, I don't know, 10, 15 of these laying all over my house because I find something that is, I don't use the only calendar I use for myself is a Google Calendar now. That's also another thing that helps me a lot. I don't buy the calendars that I write in anymore, but because I kept buying them and nobody was writing in them. I was like waiting for somebody to do something with it. And so now I use them. I'm just, instead of buying more, it's like knitting. Okay. Instead of buying more yarn and more of everything else, I just decided I'm going to go through the stuff I have and
Good idea.
use what I have and use what I know. I don't know if this helps you at all. I'm hoping
It's
it
super
helps.
helpful.
I don't know. That's and just being nicer to myself. I really, it rang true with me when Brian Buffini was like talking about just horrible self-speak. I mean, and I've had it my entire life. I've never been able to yet undo this. I would love to get therapy for it because I don't know how to not do it. And I didn't learn it from my parents. They didn't speak like that to me. I would never speak to any person the way I speak to myself in my head. So that's another thing I'm going to start working on. So
Great.
that's it.
Fantastic feedback.
Have you
Tammy.
ever, well, I know you don't want to buy more books or anything, Jill, but have you ever read the books, like What I Say to Myself or How to Talk to
No.
Yourself?
But I
There's
would
some
love
good-
for you to text those books to me. Maybe I'll actually read that. I read a lot. So,
Or- yeah.
I would probably take a look at them.
There's one in particular that my coach was adamant I buy. I bought it. I just never read it.
Well, if I
And
can borrow it from you.
absolutely, I'll figure it out. It's something like what to say when you're talking to yourself or something.
Yeah,
like
it is. That is it. Yeah.
It's not what to say when you're talking to yourself, you stupid bitch. It's just what to do when you're talking to yourself.
No, because you're clearly doing it all wrong if you're doing it that way.
Oh,
You
well,
can't
there I
even
have it.
remember the
See,
name
there
of
it
the
goes
book.
back to
Like
the
there's
whole
number
idea.
one.
I
wrong
might
thing,
actually
you
need
know,
some therapy.
I mean, that's what we say to ourselves. It's like, God, I can't even remember the name of that book. And it was something that I said I'd do.
I know the other one. It was called Smart Talk.
Mm.
And it's Smart Talk, and it's all about how to talk, how to say positive things, think positive things, and focus on the positive, not on the negative.
Okay.
So yeah, those are all very valuable. Yeah.
I will
You know,
give
last
it-
week was really, I don't know how many of you were on that call with John Darden, and I just loved it. The ATA with John
Mhm.
Darden, the guy from.
Oh, I watched
Texas.
it. I did.
Yeah. Did you notice that the first thing he talked about was the fact that he has a therapist, his psychologist, but that was the first thing that he was so transparent about, is like, here's why my life works, is because I have all these different mentors and people that help me and guide me in my life. And he started talking immediately about having a therapist, which I thought was really interesting for a speaker, who he's a great speaker, to actually be that transparent, to just say, hey, yeah, this is what it takes to make my life work. And I think our being in these classes together, mentoring each other, accountability partners, all of that is, that's the piece that I feel like I've kind of lost over the last 3-6 months. We
Yep.
got totally pulled into the belly of our business.
Yeah.
And holding on to it was everything we could do. Like,
Yep.
just like, oh my God, it just doesn't slip through my fingers. That, rightfully so. I just think it's time for us to rally together. And I'm super impressed with all of you that, that are doing this for yourselves, particularly for this Q4.
Hey, here's the book, one of the books I was thinking of, Smart Talk.
Oh, Lou Tice, yes.
Nice. Hey, Jill, you can have this because I have
Oh,
two
thank you.
copies. I have two
All right.
copies. I'll leave it right here in the old Omaha on the
I'll hop
table.
over
Come get it.
and pick it up. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay. Katie. How you doing, Katie?
Hey, I'm good. This has all been good so far today. I guess what stuck out to me was just that, what do you believe about yourself? But also in the mayor campaign, the role play, when the gal asked, well, how do you handle the rejection part? So this past summer, I actually had like 3 different situations come up where I heard of a friend or a family member that used another realtor. And I really let that get into my head and then play into I'm just not good enough, I don't have the skills, things like that. And then I found excuses like sitting at home, drinking coffee and hanging out with my dog, rather than getting myself out there and really putting myself, I really got in my head. So this has been good just to listen to this. And I love how she said, if somebody says, if someone doesn't qualify you, or if, you find out that they have someone else they're using, just move on. There's other people out there who do need someone to help them. So that was good for me to hear.
Yeah, the move on is a tough one. And I think every one of us has to have that lesson where you drive by somebody that house, and there's another sign there.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's like, I hope you get it over with early, because the longer you've been in the business, it's worse. Never, Jill?
No, I don't feel like it ever really gets easier.
Oh, no, it
but
doesn't.
But
It
I can
doesn't.
move, I can tell myself, just let it go and move forward. Ben Smale posted something and
Yeah, he did.
a day
Yeah.
or two ago. And I didn't mean to be, I wasn't harsh. I felt bad that it happened to him. He spent a lot of time with his clients getting this house ready. It was their parents' house, blah, 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 3 siblings involved. And he had everybody's signature except one of the siblings on the listing agreement. And he started giving them all his time to get everything ready for this house to be done.
He did
And
the
there was-
pre-inspection.
He paid for the pre-inspection. He did he had photos, everything was being taken care of, but he didn't have a fully signed listing agreement. And there's your lesson to be learned, because it happened to me once and I was just gobsmacked by it. And then it happened earlier this year with a friend of mine. I sold her a house 2 years ago. She moved back out to the East Coast on in April. And it was a relocation package. And she's like, well, we have to go with this relocation company. And these people are my choices. And I'm like, okay. But I looked further into it. And then I went back to her and I just said, listen, I can be included in these people, within these people to help sell your house. And she was just like, yeah, but this person, it was in Linden Estates. And she's like, this person sells all of the houses in Linden Estates. And she says she already has a buyer. And I'm like, I said to her, well, she would have a buyer, whether she listed the house or not,
Right.
Yeah.
but she was so struck on this person does all the business there that she didn't. This is the one thing, we will not be the friends we were once, because it made me feel, this affected me. It made me feel like she had no confidence in my ability to sell her fucking
Yeah.
house. And I'm sorry, I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was really pissed. So it's going to happen with friends and family and neighbors, and you're going to be saying, fuck, because it happens. And you're good. You're good at what you're doing, and we've all
Yeah.
experienced it. Maybe you guys haven't. Maybe I'm the only one who has, but
Oh, no, we have.
it's super,
Yeah.
it's super deflating. And it really made me second guess myself. And that's the part I hate, is like, I'm a good agent. I do a substantial amount of business every year, but that one deal, that's the thing that just crushes my freaking soul. And I have to I've got to figure out a way to let it go. And I have agents in my family. So many fucking agents are in my family. I never get family business. So,
But here's something that I want to say. I want to say to you that I've learned is, and it doesn't mean I'm good at it myself, but just like you don't wait until you have, a slight heart attack before you start taking care of, what you eat, what you do, how you,
Sure.
what your practices are. Same way in business. We've got to take care of the most important piece that we have to take care of in our business is our self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's the statement, your self-worth will grow at the same rate that your self-esteem. You'll double your self-worth when you double your self-esteem. It doesn't.
I'm waiting for that to happen, Carol.
Yeah.
I
Well,
really am.
that's the focus. The focus is
Right.
not on the wealth. The focus is on the doing input and what the people you're hanging out with, the things we say to ourselves, the books we listen to, the just association. That's what it does. So
Right.
so yeah, I love
I
this
hang out with a pretty
transparency that
unruly
you do.
crowd.
Yeah, you do.
So
Yeah, we might want to have a
saying.
private session about
But
that.
this is, I hope, a circle of trust. So I apologize in advance and for the past F-bombs and everything else. But I'm just kind of in that place today. So,
I think it was kind of cute, actually. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, who is not, Nicole and
Yeah.
then Jennifer, and then I'm gonna give you guys an assignment and give you your accountability partners real quick, and then we'll be done. So, Nicole,
Yes.
something got out of today.
Love your F bombs, Jill. You're so cute. You just don't even look like, it's just adorable.
Oh, well,
Um,
thank you. Jeez.
So, okay. So just a couple things that stuck out first, just like talking about like self-talk. So I've talked to maybe Carol, I don't know, I for sure bitched at Tim about this. I like hate dressing up. I'm not a really dressy person anyways. Like I worked in retail, so we had to dress up and you could wear like 3 colors, which was so boring. But I'm just not a dressy person, but I also like am overweight because like my last 2 kids and never went back. I don't know. It just didn't. So every morning I'm like running around my house, cussing, yelling. My husband's like, if it's driving you that crazy, like go jogging, eat. I'm like, I don't have time to freaking jog. Like, and he, of course, like that's his business is basketball. So he's like a muscle man. I'm like so annoyed. But anyways, I just like, so I beat myself up every single day when I get dressed. I literally avoid going to the office because I don't want to get dressed. So I will just keep myself at home so I don't have to do that. So I have to get better at that. That's something I got to work on.
You have got to listen to Mel Robbins' high 5 rule. Honest to God, just listen to one chapter and you'll understand why. But go ahead, keep going.
No, yes, I'm absolutely going to start doing that because I need to get new headshots because I don't love my headshots because they don't really reflect me that well. So I want like a new card with new headshots, and I've been wanting that for a while. So I just need to do it and stop it. But anyways, okay. So then the other thing something that stuck out to me is he said something about, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but he said something about like starting your business over every year. And I don't like, so I've only been like, this year has been like my first year of actual like consistent business. So half of it is like Zillow leads and half of it is family. So I just want to really make sure that I am like nurturing everything I've done so it does feed me business in the future. I made a database, like, so I finally got everything in Referral Maker. The only thing I put in Referral Maker was people that I've sold to or like clients that I'm like currently working with. When I made a list of everybody I knew, I guess I just didn't really understand, like, I know my PTA mom friends, like they love me, but I know that they're like, most of them aren't moving, or like, I guess I just don't know how to work them into my database if I am not directly dealing with real estate with them. So that's like something else, just trying to figure out, like right now my database is very simple. It's people I've sold to and people I'm working with, and that is it.
So one thing I want to say to you real quickly, it doesn't matter whether they're going to move or not move. You're not looking for them to move. Don't make grandma move just to help you with your business. You want advocates who refer you, because they can do so much. If you take everybody that you know or that you know well, and say you have 50 people, you're only going to sell 50 houses every 3 years. So that's not really what you're looking to do. What you're looking to do is take those 50 people and make them advocates for you. Yes, sell some of their homes or help them buy a home, but make them advocates for you so they keep the referrals coming in. So
like
it's a different concept.
Like, and you add those people to like your pop buys or your note cards, like you just, yeah, I guess that's where I was just like having a conversation with him, like one of my girlfriends, like we don't really talk about, we do talk about work, but we try not to. So you just, I guess like that's the awkward conversation, is like knowing if they would refer me. I don't know. I know they love me. I know we have a great time together, but I don't know if they met somebody, if they would be like, oh, and they were selling their house, they'd be like, oh, I have a really great friend. I don't know that.
Small steps.
Yeah.
One step you're going to take from today is
She froze.
Her eyes are moving.
oh, I'm not frozen.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
One step you're going to take from today is, everybody freeze. One step you're going to take from today's class is.
Do you know? She's asking you.
I'm asking you, Nicole.
Oh,
That's a
I thought you were gonna,
question.
I'm sorry. I'm like waiting for her to tell me what I'm doing. Like, tell me, what is it? Well, so one step I'm going to take is, I loved what Allison said about like how the big picture is like a lot, but if you just do those steps, you're going to get to where, like, I believe that too. I believe if I just get my steps in order and create that routine, it's already showing to be better for me.
Okay.
So I got my database in, and I'm just going to keep building that database. And just part of the reason I wanted to take this class was to hold me accountable, because I need that. I need to just have something consistent. So that's what I'm working on, is just continuing to build this consistency. I get distracted, like everybody gets distracted. So last week was a distracting week. So this week I feel like I'm starting all over with my whole life every week. But I'm just going to keep working on it. And I already see that it's being helpful. I did get a transaction coordinator, which was helpful, because I did feel like when I got a few transactions going, I got lost in my transactions also. And then I didn't do anything. And then I had no more leads when it was all said and done. So yeah.
Hey, I would like to challenge you one more thing between now and the next time. Hopefully the next time we see you, that friend of yours, you need to mayor campaign her. You know, you said you didn't even know if she has a realtor. You need to mayor and think of her as a test. The mayor campaign is supposed to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be uncomfortable. It's
Right.
supposed to be like, hey, just go to question. Do you have if you or a friend or a family member needed a real estate agent, do you have somebody you refer? Find some way to let that roll off your tongue. And
Yeah.
if she does, she's going to say yes. And that's when you're like, oh, cool, blah, blah, blah. And then and if she doesn't, then just say, I'd like to be that person. You know,
Yeah.
And then I think once you get that off your shoulders, say it, you're going to feel so happy you did. And then you're going to want to go out and do it again.
Yes, it's not going to be scary. No, you're absolutely right. I know you're right. So, okay.
Do it.
So
Give it a try.
yes, so part of what we do in our homework, in the homework that I'm going to give you guys in a couple minutes, is going to have to do with that. So actually, does anybody have to jump off of this call real quick, because we have about 5 more minutes? Okay, let's go. Jennifer, what'd you get today?
I'm just reiterating what everybody else is saying in regards to getting back to the basics. I think qualifying the database a little better has been something that's been on my radar. I just haven't done it yet. And it stirred in me because when we went to Apex and Aubrey Hess had mentioned that she only has like 250 people in her database and she keeps it small and she keeps it very pointed and very intentional. That's the biggest piece I do. I need to go back through because it does get to a point where you're like, if I call this person, they're not even gonna know who the hell I am. So why are they even in my database right now?
Right.
You know, so for me, that was the biggest piece. Just a reminder that's
Cool.
that's an actionable item I can do to really narrow in my activity.
Okay, so real quickly, accountability partners, I'm gonna assign you some accountability partners based on who has showed up for the last two classes. I've changed this 3 times, Tim.
I figured
So Allison Roach and Amy Stewart.
Okay.
Where's Allison?
She logged off just a little
She had to
bit.
go off. Okay, Allison and Amy. Jill and Laura, Jill Sleddens and Laura Ducey.
Okay.
Jennifer Tucker and Nicole Wilder. You guys
Okay.
there? All right. Annika, Hannah was on here last week. She's not on here this week. I'm gonna assign these, but I'm gonna actually give Annika and did Bridget drop out, Tim?
Bridget was supposed to be here. We have 4 people that are not here this week that are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'll say this politely, we need people to engage. So
Yeah.
if they're not going to be here, they're not going to be here. So I'll talk to these 4 separately. But at this moment, it might just be this group here.
Personally, if they're not a paid, they haven't paid for the class and they have missed the first 2.
They missed 25% of the class.
They've missed 25% of the class. I personally don't want to
Got it.
go forward with them.
I'll
so,
deal with that.
Yeah. Okay. So who else do I have left here?
I
then?
think it
So
was-
talk to Bridget because I put her with Annika and Hannah. So there's 3 of them to
Okay.
lean into. Hannah was here last week and then she was sick. She had to get off. So if not, then we have Colleen Newton. She's not here today.
She moved to the other class.
She moved to, she's the one that moves the other class.
So
And
I
then
think Katie
Ann
and Annika-
Fuller moved, did Ann Fuller should be in this class as well.
She's supposed
Okay.
to. She's one of the people who's not.
Who on this?
So Ann Fuller, we removed kind of at the last minute. I sent out an email. She hasn't been a part of the class since we started.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Got it.
Katie Boyle, and
And Annika.
Annika, yeah. Okay,
So
Katie and
Amy
Annika.
Stewart and Allison
two
Rhodes,
guys.
Jennifer
Yeah.
Tucker, Nicole Wilder, Katie Boyle and Annika Phillips, Jill Sleddens and Laura Ducey.
Okay, well,
All right.
you maybe text that back to me because I've got several things on my.
It's
that I
on
didn't write
the
right
sheet. It's on the sheet that I created.
Oh, you did it. Okay, over there. All right. I actually have it on my iPad sitting next to my
Okay.
Mac computer and my phone. Okay, that's it.
What about
That's-
additions to our database?
I do want that.
Yes. And
Pipeline, additions to your pipeline.
pipeline, not database,
I
pipeline.
normally say database, but for the
Yeah.
purposes of this meeting, it is pipeline. Okay.
Anybody between last week and this week that you have added,
I added
plus whoever
I added 5 legit people to my pipeline, like new
How the hell
people.
did you do that?
The 2 of them was one investor that popped out of the blue with 2 listings. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy.
we had 5
Nice.
that we know are already moving that we started with. But whatever you have to add to that, go ahead and give us that information. And then the other one is the video call. So here's my challenge to you. So you now have an accountability partner. Meet with that accountability partner this week. If you could meet in person, take a walk, be outside. If that's what's more comfortable, that's great. If not, if you need to meet on Zoom, but get a day, get a time that you can pretty much 80% of the time meet at that time on that day and make that a priority kind of time. Check in about your pipeline progress, what you're doing, and then challenge each other to however many to add to your pipeline for next week. I don't care what your numbers look like with your your personal challenges. I just want you guys to see the accountability to each other. And then also the challenge for videos. I want you to each make a video and send it to your accountability partner. You can make it as funny as you want, but making a commitment to doing your videos for
I'm
the
doing it right
for
now.
this 8 weeks. That I think that'll be fun. And actually, you could send a copy to Tim and I, and we can let us laugh with you too. We'll post the funniest one. But somehow make a video, send it to you can go into your referral maker and do this like live in your referral maker. Do you guys know that? All you do is make whoever your accountability partner is, make them one of your contacts, go into that contact and it'll say, send a video message. And it's a text and you can just send it right out of there. Did you guys not even know that? You can do that with that on your phone app?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Laura, do you need a nap? This is like Ann Fuller does the same thing where she has her computer down here. So her eyes always look like they're closed.
So you can never tell.
Yeah. Would you say,
Cool.
Jill? Jill's talking, but your voice is not on, Jill. Oh,
On purpose.
okay, you guys. We'll see you next week. Good luck. Have a great week. And if anything I can do to be of help, let me know. Let Tim know. Actually, let me know. Tim's busy right now. So,
I'm good. Thank you.
okay,
See you guys.
bye-bye.